Hey, Shalom Mark, and this is Rakam Akapash from GMS London, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful that's pushing this truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video, and I wanted to, cover this little topic here because we see about how Trump's talking about, going into Iran or attacking Iran. Right, based on the things that are going on right now, he's using the protests in Iran as an excuse to go in and defend the Iranian people because he cares about them apparently. But this is to show you that this was always the plan. The plan was always to go into Iran or to do something in Iran to attack Iran, right? Because Trump is a menace, right? And he's to fulfill biblical prophecy, you know, whether it's him that finalizes it or whatever. But America and these dudes, right? These Edomites, okay, they're prophesied to bring about World War III, right? And part of that is attacking Iran, right? Whether it be through the least of the flock, okay, which are the small hats in Israel, right? But the plan was always to go and do this. They've always had it in their mind to do this, right? Because ultimately, the Most High is they're fulfilling the Most High's will to do this, right? To bring about their own destruction, right? And so, don't let this, the whole theatrics of it, deceive you. This was always the plan. They've always wanted to go into Iran and take down Iran, right? And ultimately, they're going to create this World War III because Russia's just not going to sit on the sideline and watch America just dominate everybody in the earth, right? So I've got this guy up here, Wesley Clark, right? And he's was a general in the U.S. military, right? And so you can see these shorts here, right? That you can watch on YouTube. These, they're on YouTube to see. I'm not going to play them, but I do have what he said from the Google AI, right? And so yeah, General Wesley Clark, a retired four-star U.S. Army general and former Supreme Allied Commander Europe of NATO, famously outlined a classified Pentagon document shortly after the 9/11 attacks that detailed a plan to take out 7 countries in 5 years. According to Clark, in a 2001 interview, right? So how long ago was that? When 27, it's like 26 years ago, right? This guy said this, right? And so it's always been on the on the books for America to go do these things, and they've done predominantly all of these things, right? Iran is the last stop, right? And it truly will be the last stop, man. Because like I said, this is this altercation that we've got going between Iran and the West, or in Israel and the US, right, is going to trigger World War III. Right, and surely it will be the last stop of conquest for America, right? Because America is going to be finished after that. All right, so it says, according to Clark in 2001 interview with Amy Goodman, a senior official in the Pentagon, shared that the U.S. planned to initiate regime change in the following nations: Iraq, okay, we know what's happened there already. Syria, okay, we know what's happened there, right? Lebanon, okay, Lebanon was messed up. Libya, we know what's happened there. Bye bye Gaddafi, no more Gaddafi. Somalia, well, a lot of Somalia being mentioned lately, right, in the US. Sudan, right? And number 7, Iran, okay, which is Persia in the scriptures. All right, so we're gonna get these scriptures, right? But that was the plan. 20, at least 26 years ago, that was the plan. The plan might have existed longer before that, but at least 26 years ago, that was always the plan. And now we're at this point now in time where they're starting to make moves on Iran. They've been weakening it economically by putting sanctions on it and all that kind of stuff, making the people suffer, making them resist their own government because they men are suffering, right? And so the government's putting down people, it's causing more anger, more frustration, right? And Trump's talking about oh, if you kill any more people, blah blah blah, we're gonna come in there and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that and this that and the third. Because after they just they deposed not Hugo Chavez, Maduro from Venezuela. All right, they're looking to do something similar, but it's just not going to go down. It ain't going to go down like that. You do anything, you kill the Ayatollah or whatever, right? You do all that, bro. Yeah, it's gonna escalate way quick. It's gonna escalate way quick, right? So it's not going to be just as easy as that, right? But the Most High, has a spirit on them for these devils to go do these things, right? Because it's to bring about their own destruction, to trigger off World War III, right? All these different things, right? so that America could be ultimately destroyed. Right? So the plan was always to roll on Iran. Didn't matter what Iran was doing. Right? That was always the plan. And ultimately, it's always in the Most High's plan for you devils to go always set your bounds. All right. So let's see what else has he got here, because I haven't read this yet. It's the context of the outline. Source: Clarke recounted this in his 2003 book, Winning Modern Wars: Iraq, Terrorism, and the American Empire. Initial focus to this began with Iraq, which was already in the crosshairs shortly after 9/11, despite no direct evidence linking Saddam Hussein to the attacks. Because it ain't about the evidence. It's not about, if there's actual real reason to go and do anything. And about that with Esau, he got an agenda to do. So, he go out there and do what he got to do, right? And this is why I'm gonna start off with this, Revelation chapter 6 verse 4, right? It says here, they went out another horse that was red, right, which represents Esau, right? And power was given to him that sat down to take peace on the earth, right? He's been given power in the earth. He's been given rulership over the earth, right? But he takes peace from the earth with this power, right? Because he just goes to places and takes it over and takes shit that don't belong to him and murders people. That's what he does, right? That's what your military's been doing, right? For forever, right? And that they should kill one another, and was given unto them a great sword, right? It says war and chaos. That's what you bring to the earth, right? And this is why, as much as you claim to be peaceful, you're here for the, good of mankind, you are the biggest exporter of war, right? That's why you possess the greatest military outfits, the military industrial complex, and you have all these these different war machines, right? These different companies that you export war on an unknown level, right? Because you benefit from war, right? So you take peace from it and cause everybody to fight and shit. All right, that's what you do, right? And so it doesn't matter if there's any evidence or any reason other than that you want something that someone else has got. There's no real justifiable reason why you should go there. But let's say you put it on your news media, or they did this. You do the flag attacks or whatever, and you say they did this, and we need to do this, and this needs to be done. Revenge and all this shit, right? But none of that's really true, right? So yeah, so no direct links, right? It says purpose. Clarke indicated that this plan represented the thinking of a policy coup by neoconservatives within the Bush administration, who believed the U.S. military should destabilize any government in the region. And that's what they're doing, basically. Time in the revelation was aimed at shedding light on the motivations behind the Iraq War, what he viewed as a mistaken strategy of interventionism. Key takeaways from Clarke analysis: ignoring the real sources. Clarke criticized Washington's policy, arguing that instead of focusing on Al Qaeda, the administration was targeting nations that were not directly involved in 9/11. Right, that's what it was, right? Regional instability. He argued that these policies, often implemented with the support of allies, created a pool of angry individuals and contributed to the rise of extreme groups. Right, that's what has happened. Right, devastating results. Clarke noted the folly of this approach, highlighting how these interventions aimed at destabilization caused immense suffering and in some cases led to the rise of groups like ISIS, which he stated was funded by allies to fight Hezbollah. Right, blah blah blah. So, right. Well, like I said, this was the plan that was that was told to him, and this is surely what they're doing, right? What they've been doing. Okay, like I said, you can watch that. They've got nice little shorts there for you to hear what he said about all of that, right? But let's just get the scriptures now, right? This is Isaiah 14, and let me see. Let's start from 4, right? That thou shalt take out this proverb against the king of Babylon, right? Who's the king of Babylon? Well, first of all, Babylon is America, and the king of Babylon, currently, the front man for Babylon is Trump, right? But really, it only goes back to the elites, right? That own Trump, right? Trump is only just a front man, right? But he's the guy, right? He's there sitting right now, right? It says, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased, right? So Babylon the Great, i.e. America, is known as an oppressor. Because like I said, they're just going around the earth, creating unnecessary wars as an excuse to destabilize and to take resources from people, to bully, right? That's what they've been doing, right? This golden city, how does it cease? Because it's going to be destroyed. Okay, it's going to do too much, and it's going to end up in its own destruction, right? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, right? Because he was given that great sword, right, to take peace from the earth, right? He's given a sword to take peace from the earth. So he's ruled with a continual stroke the nations in wrath, right? Because what he does, he doesn't need to do, but he does it because he enjoys throwing his weight around, right, and stealing things, right? He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth, right? So you're going to be destroyed, and nobody's going to come to your aid, right? No one's going to help you, right? Because everyone's fed up with you, man, right? It's Jeremiah 50, just to back up the same point, right? It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth, okay, the oppressing people in the nation, right? How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right, so you're an oppressive force on the earth, right? Because you have the sword, right? Because the scripture tells us that Esau was blessed with the sword, right? And like I said, you Edomites are the ones ruling, or that are in rulership. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So we know it's you. We know you're the Edomites, and your history coincides with what we're reading here in the prophecies, right? This is how you've been on the earth, right? So all this outward appearance thing, or we're doing this because of this, like you on some sort of righteous crusade, is bullshit. Because you always had intentions to go into Iran anyway, regardless. And so when you listen to it, like, there's no reason why they had to go to Iraq. Saddam's got weapons of mass destruction or whatever. You find all these reasons why they got to go do something to somebody. Gaddafi, and these men don't exist no more. You know what I'm saying? So, they always find these reasons and excuses to go do something and get the Edomites on board with it, right, to justify it, right? But yeah, it's just all bullshit though, right? Right, that ready. So Jeremiah 49 verse 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes that he have proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them, right? So the nation, not even the nation, right, because it ain't. The state of Israel is an important chess piece that, Esau has put there, right, to cause chaos in the Middle East, right? And so they're playing their part in the Middle East right now. We'll see what's going on there. They're blaming everybody else for the problems, but it really is them lot, right? So it's a very strategic chess piece there in the Middle East to cause chaos, right? And a reason ultimately to go there and to protect, quote unquote, protect the state of Israel from the incoming fallout that's going to occur there because of the actions of these small hats, right? And the U.S. What do I want to call it? U.S. military intentions, or I don't know. I don't know how to frame the word, frame the sentence there, but the American interest there, right? So they're there to to cause chaos and confusion and to be an excuse why they got to go there in the Middle East and take out these other nations, right? Because they're hostile, right? Because you're being hostile, right? You're being hostile. Okay, we already kicked you out your land and oppressing you and all that kind of stuff, but you're being hostile. Don't be hostile, right? So they're there to play that role, right? They're there to play that role because the U.S. is a staunch ally of Israel, right? Even when the rest of the world is kind of looking at Israel like, what the hell, you might be being demons, right? U.S. is not backing down with Israel, so they need Israel there for the U.S. to fulfill their interests and stuff. So they're playing their part, okay. So yeah, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock represents these small hats there in the state of Israel. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, right? Because they're all going to get messed up, right? They're all going to get effed up, man. All right. But here comes the Iranians or the Persians, or in this case the Carmanians in the scriptures, right? Because I said the goal is to do something in Iran, right? I want to start from verse 28. So this is 2 Ezra 15 and 28. It says, "Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots," right? And they've been building up their armies, right? Iran isn't a small fish anymore, per se. Yeah, not on America level, but they're capable of doing something, right? Even though they've looked weak in times past, right? But it's really because they're not, and they don't really want to fight America, really, right? They'd rather just fight the small hats. But it's like because they got America's backing, it's not easy for them to just to do something bold. They might not really bold right now, but they will be. They will when the time comes. The Lord gonna put the spirit on these heathens to go at it, So the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Comanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. All right, so they're going to rise up. They're going to rise up eventually. All this talking is going to have to stop eventually, right? Because we're still, in the phases of wars and rumors of wars. There's a lot of threatening going on, a lot of threatening and the potential for that, being discussed, right? But it will come to that point where it will happen, right? And all the major players are going to get drawn in because of it. Right, that's why the bulk World War III is really mostly going to be taking place in the Middle East, in that region, in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, so like I said, everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing according to the Most High's plan, to the Most High's will. Right, Esau thinks he's got a plan going on that he thinks he's running. Right, that's going to benefit him, but everyone is where they're supposed to be according to the Most High. Right, so this is always going to be the pretty much the end point of the world's armies to be there in the Middle East and to mutually destroy each other, to bring in World War III. All right, so it will happen in due time. There's still things that need to happen. We're focusing heavily on the MOTB right now. All this technology that's coming out, and this digital system, and all these things that are being developed right now. Okay, this year is going to be a very interesting year concerning all of that. The Neuralinks and all these different types of things. So there's still things that need to develop in the background at the moment. All this is just let's say wars and rumors of wars. So we listen and watch and pray. But it will happen. Okay, these things will be fulfilled, right? This is just like Habakkuk was it 2 and 3 tells you, right? This is Ezekiel 38 verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, right? So this chief prince, Gog and Magog, represents Russia, right? Who dwell in the land of Gog, right? So and say, thus said Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, right? Because that's the big concern, right? Or what if America and Russia clash? These two big superpowers with crazy ass nuke weapons. Like that was always the fear. That's why the whole Cold War was a tense situation, even though nothing really happened like that, nothing major happened. That was always the fear, because they could mutually destroy each other, and everything in between, right? So that was always the fear, right? But it's gonna come to a reality, right? Because the world's got a lot smaller, right? Everybody's allied together, with their opposing teams, opposing sides or whatever, right? And so all these military defense packs, right? So when push comes to shove, when America or Israel decide to do something major, in Iran, right? Russia is just not going to simply just sit back and just watch all that happen without doing anything. right? And like I said, US, America's been, pushing it's been pushing them quite a bit, and it will be a step too far, right? It will be a step too far, man, right? And Russia will come out, okay, with the armies and the horsemen, the horses and horsemen as we're reading here, right? I.e., their own military, but they've got allies. Their allies are going to come with them to stop this, abuse of American power. All right, and so they're gonna meet, they're gonna clash, and that whole Cold War scenario is gonna become a hot war. Okay, what everybody feared, right? Because everyone fears, these nukes flying everywhere, right? And it ain't gonna just start off with the nukes, right? That's basically what's gonna end the war. Similar to how America ended Japan, ended the war with destroying Japan. Even though the main villain in that story, anyway, at least Germany was already defeated, right? But the whole war, World War II, was finished by America dropping bombs at Japan. Well, the same thing is going to kind of occur like this, in this time, World War III. When the missiles hit America, they're going to be like, oh shit, right? But there's a bit more to it because you have the Howard Shine the Angels to contend with afterwards. But pretty much, like, you might not going to lose, right? It's going to end with your nuclear destruction, the fire. All right. But anyway, carry on here. This is So I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, okay, who is Iran, right? Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, right? So they're in an alliance with Russia, right? And that's why Iran's not that easy to, or it's not going to be that easy to take down or take out, right? So Gomer and all these bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them, right? To protect them, to help them, right? Because Russia's far away, right? But obviously Iran are having to deal with these Israelis, right? So they're providing certain support for them, giving them certain technologies and know-how, for certain things. Iran's got a good drone program, as it's been said, right? So they're developing. They're stronger for it with these alliances with Russia and so on. They've been dealing with China. So they can put out some type of resistance, right? But when the the Avengers come in, they assemble, right, and they come to help. Well, they're going to be formidable, right? Because they're going to have the backing of Russia and China and these other nations. All right, but that's what's going to happen. Okay, that's what's going to happen. This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. It says the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Right, the third woe, which is the Third World War, is coming quickly upon us. Right, the first and the second have already passed. Right, great casualties. Right, change the world, change the face of the world. Right, and this is going to be no different. In fact, this is going to be even greater. Right, the stakes are far higher. Right, there's more people on the planet. There's more death to be had. Right, there's going to be a whole lot of change after this happens. Right, because this kingdom isn't going to be left in the hands of men. This will be given to our Lord Yahushua and the Israelites. So, a lot of things is going to change from this point, right? The third world cometh quickly. So it is upon us. All right. And this is Joel chapter 3, verse 2. I'm going to jump down to 9. And it says here, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right? Jumping down to verse 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Right? Prepare war. Right? Evidently war's on the horizon. Everybody's preparing. You're being warned about it. We're being told, oh, we need to spend more money in our military. We need to recruit. We need to, update our forces and all these different types of things. Oh, we're not ready to take on the Russian threat and all this and that, right? You're hearing a lot of that, right, in this current time, because everybody knows what time it is. Everyone's got that feeling. Everyone's in that spirit, right? Because the Most High has put that spirit in them. Right? So again, prepare ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pronghorns into spears. Let the weak sound strong. Yeah, we're not in a time of peace. Right? Ecclesiastes tells you there's a time for everything, right? And, we're not in the time of peace. We're in the time of war. Right? Everything's getting messed up in this world. Everything's getting harder. Living's hard, right? Everything's getting harder. Everything's getting messed up. Okay, the poor are being demolished by the rich, by the elites, right? These nations are on the brink of collapse. Okay, with the protesting and all this shit, right? And so war is inevitable, right? War is inevitable, right? So yeah, beat your plowshares into swords and your pronghorns into spears. Let the weak say, "I am strong." Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Tiva calls thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, right? So everyone's preparing for war. So let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Right, the Most High is bringing them there for His purpose. Right, forget your beef, right, your problems, right, the world's problems, and who you got a problem with and who you don't like. The Most High don't care about all of that. The Most High is just having you do all these things to bring you together to fight, so the Most High can cast judgment upon you. Right, because I said there's gonna be a lot of death. All right. To put you in a sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Right? All these nations are wicked. Right? And that's why the Lord's casting judgment on them. Right? To break their teeth. It says multitudes in the valley of decision. Right? That's what Joseph or Yahweh Shaphat means. Right? The Most High or Yahweh's judgment. Right? Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter His voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of His people. Right? That's why we keep telling you, but look, the only people that are going to make it out of this, man, are the Lord's elect. Right? All this great judgment's going to go. That's going to go on. Right? Only the Lord's elect are going to make it out of this. Right? There's hope for us. Lord, if we be of the elect, the hope ain't for everybody. Right? There will be hope for His people. Right? This is and the strength of the children of Israel. Right? And you shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. Right? And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Egypt shall be a desolate wilderness. Okay, this represents America, right? Because that's how it's going to end. The mightiest military the world's ever known is going to be a desert, or a lake of fire to begin with, right? Once it's destroyed, it's going to be uninhabitable, right? So for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed the blood in their land, right? Because you've oppressed us, right? But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For the Lord Yahweh dwelleth in Zion. All right. So, like I said, this is always the plan. This is the Most High's plan, ultimately, most importantly, right? That these men are going to move or make a move, against Iran, right? And it's just going to go way south. It's going to go way left, right? It's going to get out of hand, and, and the world is going to be drawn into World War III, right? But we're going to have a little saber rattling going for a little while still, until this moment or this turning point happens, but it will happen. It will happen, So, we wait, we watch, we pray. We watch it as it unfolds, man, as prophecy manifests, But don't be fooled by these devils. Well, not this devil in particular, but the guys like Trump and we're just we're defending people. We're here to we care about the Iranian people, and it's always been bullshit. All the excuses for war has always been bullshit, right? And this guy, like I say, he laid it out, man. He was told about it, right? The man, they had no reason. They just went in to do it, right? They wanted to keep cause instability in the region. That's what they do. They love war. They love oppressing. Love stealing. Right? So you can watch this. Like I said, short little clip where it tells you everything you need to know. All right. But with that, I'm going to say shalom, Lord, when this has been edifying. And I'll catch you, brothers and sisters, in the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.